Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever Just V Show chat with me, Ben Corbett. I'm sure I speak for everyone at the JVS team when I say we're beyond excited about seeing you all in the autumn. You can get your free tickets for our London show in the video description. But in the meantime, we wanted to reach out to you guys with a helping hand at this challenging time with hints, tips, recommendations, anecdotes, and news on all things plant based. We have some amazing guests lined up for you, with the likes of bloggers Romy London from Channel 4's Crazy Delicious and vegan beauty girl Nicole Whittle. We have internationally renowned author and photographer Sarah Keopa-Power of She's So Delicious, and the Vegan Society coming on to talk about their birthday celebrations. I'll see you every week, Fridays at 1 p.m. right here. So let's crack on with today's show. So obviously, with this being the first, we wanted to keep things simple. A little Q&A with two people sitting in their home offices or kitchens, or so you would think. Nope, that's not us. You should know that by now. So let's invite Jack into the virtual studio, on location and direct from Jack's Patch, his urban farm.
Yo, what's up?
Hey Jack, how you doing, buddy? It's great to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm happy to do it as well. It's keeping me company on the farm as well.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I'd probably say if people don't know you, Jack, why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so my name's Jack, owner of Jack's Patch. I'm an urban farmer from London. I've got a quarter of an acre market garden, and I run off the principles of no-dig and permaculture. These are like ancient techniques that have been brought back, and it's actually better for the health of the planet, health of the soil, which equally leads to healthy plants, then healthy you. So yeah, it's just going back to nature. It's really simple as well. It's actually less work. So for less work, you actually get more yield. So really simple techniques. Anyone can do it. I've done a lot more teaching lately from through my page, just to show you how simple it is to grow food. It's not rocket science. You could just start off with the very basics and then get food within, like, if you start with microgreens, you get food within like 7 days, some of the most highly nutritious, dense food on the planet, and you can have that, grow that in your kitchen on just on a sunny window. So yeah, just trying to break it down for people, helping them grow food, like especially in these times, just to become more resilient.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I was going to ask you about. Another thing, like, so I mean, let's just dive straight in with the lockdown stuff, eh? How's your life and philosophy been affected by the lockdown, would you say?
Philosophy's got stronger in terms of permaculture. It's just building resilience for you and your community. So it's just been so highlighted right now that we need to go back to buying local food, even growing stuff in your garden, growing stuff in your flat, just making it simple. Our lives were going 100 miles an hour. That was like, oh, I ain't got time for that, I ain't got time for that. Now you have time, and now it's like you just need to apply it in ways that can make your life more resilient. You don't have to go to the shops if you don't have to. So yeah, I've just been doing that really basic stuff through my page to educate people on how to grow really basic stuff. But also as well, for me, I've gone from working full-time as an electrician in the city up until recently as well, just through winter, where not much was growing here, and then my job ended, and I was in Canary Wharf, where it was probably the worst hit place in the city, and my job was hit, but luckily I had the farm, and then I just started cracking on here. And then, if anything, it's just made people realise that local food's available. So I'm just getting bombarded with messages, but also I've been growing extra plants as well, so people can buy stuff as well. So, but not just seeds. I've been directing people to buy seeds, buy soil, but now I've grown like a lot more abundance in plants. And now I'm like, today, for example, I'm delivering tomato plants. People can get them in the ground, and then within a couple of months they'll have like an abundance of tomatoes. But that should lead it on past COVID-19, so they'll be getting produce throughout the year past this, and then it'll give them an interest to be like, that was quite easy to grow. Then they'll just gain an interest going into next year as well. It's definitely happened for my dad as well. he took on my old allotment, and he's actually like smashing it. He's doing really well. He's getting right into it, and he's a guy that wasn't into that sort of stuff at all. But I feel like it's made everyone slow down so they can get into stuff, like into hobbies that they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of about people almost feeling a little bit of pressure um to pick something up. Like, oh, I've got this time on my hands. If I haven't achieved something by the time we get out the other end of lockdown, that I would have failed in some way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think like growing stuff and gardening and the no dig stuff you're talking about, it's not like I need to learn to play the piano at grade 8 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it is something that people can have in their lives beyond lockdown. And like you're saying, even for you, someone that was so into this, I mean, you spoke at our Glasgow show just before lockdown started and all that sort of stuff. And even for you, it's sort of made things stronger and made you do more. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's really,
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. But it's interesting for me. So I'm going to just move out the polytunnel because I don't want the phone overheating. The sun's come out now, so it's
Do you
going
know
from
what?
rain into sun, and
Most of us are indoors. It's been raining in a lot of places. If you've got a bit of sun there, I'm sure we're all going to be really, really happy to go outside with you. And I guess I think that you've probably already sort of mentioned this, but I mean, what sort of positive behavioural changes are you hoping to see from people after this, after everyone re-emerges from this? And we have sort of touched on it, but I don't know if you want to sort of round that off at all.
No, definitely. Well, we're seeing as well a lot of like companies kind of coming together, like in terms of they're just thinking outside the box. So a lot of I know these are local suit makers, and they're making PPE for NHS, and it's just showing that we don't have to buy all this cheap stuff from abroad. We've got all the resources here to do that and support our own, and then that money goes back in our economy. And it's exactly the same with food as well. Like you can buy asparagus from like Peru and Kenya, and you could like Bob from the allotment down the road could have like an abundance of asparagus that he's letting go to seed because he's grown too much. And it's like bringing that back to community. We need to maybe like do more farmers markets in London. I think it's a real struggle for that. I've like lived in like Melbourne and places in Australia and even Costa Rica, and farmers markets are a staple. On the weekends, you just knew that local food was being grown and you knew where to go. And for the city of London, we've got loads of farmers just outside that probably need to come in and kind of make that accessible.
If people are interested in that, if people are interested in that sort of thing, sort of farmers markets and stuff around London, where do you recommend people go? If you say, some people are sort of struggling, or is it really that bad that you couldn't even tell us?
Well, no, I know there's one in Stoke Newington, but it's like it's in a car park. It's not massive, but there's like an abundance of stuff there for sure. And Victoria Park Market, so they're more East London. So Stoke Newington, I think it's Stoke Newington, and the other one's Victoria Market, so it's more Hackney. But yeah, they're both great places. Like it's just more than food. Like you can get coffee, kombucha. It's kind of a bit of everything there as well. So it's like you can go get like a week shop there pretty much.
Awesome.
So it's just kind of, I think it's highlighting these things that people say that they never have time for, that now they're starting to do. Like, I'm seeing such a difference even in my parents. They're getting into stuff that they would always say, no, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. But now you've got time. And I think there's always light in between dark, and that for me, that's the light. People kind of picking up hobbies. I think there'll be loads of new businesses starting as well, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. We've actually had a question pop up that I'm going to ask you if that's all right. So that's a question from Nikki. She said, what can we grow without starting it off in a greenhouse or tunnel that we can plant outdoors now, and now that it's already May? And are there any good things that you could tuck into the border between other plants?
That's a great question. If you've got a pen and paper, so it's stuff like spinach, lettuce, spring onion, rocket, beetroot, carrots. These are all. They could all be started in as early as March. Radish, turnips, stuff like that, peas. But now it's coming into May. It's literally there's loads of stuff. Kale as well. Let me look. I'm looking over the phone here. Have a little looking around the farm right now.
I'm hoping to get a bit of a tour in a minute. So if you want to incorporate that into telling us what you've got going on at the moment, maybe that will help some people.
Definitely. Right. I'm gonna flip the camera.
Yeah, do it. We're just losing Jack a little bit there, but hopefully we'll get him back in a sec.
There he is. A little bit. Sorry.
Nah, you're all right, mate.
So yeah, we're just in the polytunnel here. So I've just tried to maximise the space by raising some old gates with some ratchets. But this is all my stuff that's overwintered. So some lovely lettuce, spring onion. I'm actually trying to grow ginger this year as well. So there'll be ginger in between the tomatoes. Stuff I've already planted in the greenhouse, courgettes, parsley. So there's loads of herbs, beans, cucumbers. All this stuff can start to go outside now as well, because we're just passing that frost. But tomatoes, they're doing really, really well this year. That's probably the biggest taste difference from supermarket veg. So yeah, there's so much I recommend. But from that question, Ben.
Yep. I think when Jack walks around, we start to lose him a little bit. But here you go. Here he is.
Sorry, mate. No, it's when I flip the camera.
No, you're all good. You're all good,
so
mate.
I'm going to try and do it over my. It over my shoulder if I can.
I guess tomatoes are really cool as well, because obviously that's something people can start off indoors, can't they?
Yeah, but like just going back to that question, loads of like salad stuff now can be planted outside. All your root veg, all your peas, your kale, that can all go outside now. But stuff to plant in between borders, there's an app I recommend called Veggie Garden. It's got a little carrot emoji. That's got like it's great for companion planting. So these vegetables that like to be grown next to vegetables, they actually work in symbiotic with each other. Like some may deter a pest from the other one. But yeah, I recommend that app just because, like, saying stuff to plant between borders. So like I plant spring onion in between my lettuce, just because like where the lettuce grows in a circumference like that, the spring onion can take the space in between. And stuff like basil next to my tomatoes, because the smell of the basil deters away a fly away from the tomatoes. But stuff like on the borders, radish, they grow in 30 days, but they're a great crop to just pop in there on the side as well.
Okay, cool. We've got another question, one from Philippa. She says, does ginger take long, or is it hard to grow?
Yeah, it's probably it's on the harder. It's a little bit harder. I found it quite easy to get started. So you just have to soak it in warm water for 24 hours. It has to be organic ginger. And then you plant it in a shallow tray, so like inch deep, with just some potting compost. And then it needs to be super warm, so it needs to stay in a greenhouse or stay inside, because it's like a Chinese vegetable, or Central American. I've seen it everywhere. But yeah, it just needs to stay warm. Once it starts sprouting, you just pinch off the node as like a separate node with some roots. You just pinch that off and plant it. But it needs to be in the warmth, so it needs to be in a greenhouse or in a polytunnel ideally.
Okay, cool. I've got a great shout from Maria, who said there's farmers markets in northwest London, one at West Hampstead by the station on Saturdays, and Swiss Cottage Farmers Market on Wednesdays at Eaton Avenue. Thanks for that, Maria. That's really good advice for other people that are looking for farmers markets around London. So if someone was to say to you, look, I've done nothing. Like it's something I've never had time for. It's always been easy for me to go down to the supermarket. I'm a vegan, vegetarian. I'm really struggling for fresh stuff. I want to I want to start 2 things today. What things would you recommend? What are the ideal sort of starters for people that want to start growing stuff themselves?
So I've just done a video on my page. So I used the old Oatly carton, Oatly milk carton. I've
Yeah.
cut out the top, filled it with soil, and I just sprinkled a radish seed on top. Radish grows so quick, like so you get. I grew it as a micro herb, so within 7 days you're eating it. So it just gives you that little bit of a boost that you're like, oh God, I've just grown that, and then that's just gone on my like avocado on toast in a week later. So you're just kind of growing it to its just kind of like its baby leaves. So the first 2 leaves probably grows a centimetre tall. Then you want to cut it, and then you just add that to your plate, and that's just packed with loads of nutrients, and super healthy. Really easy to grow. Like so many people are sending me pictures of them doing it themselves, but I've just tried to break it down and make it easy for people. So I'd say like radish or rocket, same way, as a microgreen. That's probably perfect. But if you want to grow them outside, same again, radish, rocket, spinach, lettuce, they all take like no time to grow. I'm just going to walk you to my greenhouse and show you like an indoor veggie garden that someone could
Okay,
grow
wicked.
even in a flat. But
That sounds really
I'm
cool.
just hoping it doesn't lag or anything
That's all
when I
right.
move.
That's all
But
right. Well, Tom just asked what was the best thing to do with kids to get them into it. I guess that's sort of along the same lines of our sort of starter stuff.
yeah,
Is the radish going to be a bit spicy if you're doing it with kids?
yeah, it is a bit. It is actually very. When you grow as a microgreen, everything's more potent.
Uh-huh.
I feel like even if you've got a garden, just get a couple of tomato plants. They're kind of fun to look after, or a sunflower, even a sunflower. Like because kids just think for kids, tomatoes like you can pop them in your mouth as well.
Yeah.
They take a little while, but it's more fun when they come through. It's something to watch. They go green, then they go yellow, like traffic lights. They go green, yellow, red. So
Like
it's
a
like kind of
backwards
a little
traffic light.
project, I think, for kids. Yeah.
Okay, wicked.
Right. So
Right.
this is my indoor garden. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So it was so easy. It was all done from seed. So you got turnips there. There was spinach underneath, lettuce there, spring onion, there's carrots and radish there. But it's all done in a Tesco crate.
Oh, that's so cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's just super easy for people to do, especially at home during these times as well. And it's just a little bit of compost, cardboard, a crate, any crate. And yeah, you could just grow food as easy as that. Let me think, especially going back to that question with the kids, stuff like that is perfect because you can get they can get their hands dirty as they're doing it. They can sow the seed. Doesn't really matter if they like throw the seed in, mess it up. Like there'll be stuff growing, especially stuff like spinach and lettuce. Really easy to eat for kids. There's not much of a blast of flavour, is there? It's just quite easy for them to eat. And that'd be great, I think, for them. Also,
Okay,
even if you
that's cool.
buy herbs from the supermarket and repot them, it's always if you like, for example, if you pinch basil, like supermarket herbs like mint and basil, if you pinch the tops and put them in water, they'll regrow the roots, and you can plant them on again, and that can be done within days as well. So that's another little project I always recommend people do because it's very, very easy, and you can propagate stuff very quickly as well.
Okay, awesome. Something from Philippa. She said, "What are you doing about vegan-friendly pest control?"
So, in terms of permaculture, like I don't use any chemicals, and I just make sure I grow a lot of flowers. I wasn't into flowers before. Even when I first had allotment, I weren't growing any flowers or any herbs. But the smell of, like, as I said earlier, the basil deters away a fly that munches your tomatoes. But also, if you plant the right flowers, so for example, lettuce, there's a little cutworm that eats lettuce from underneath, and the smell of the marigold flowers they hate, and you just interplant them. And also, I've got like a little wild area where if you attract the right insects, they kind of eat the bad insects. It's just trying to become a part of like the ecosystem, trying to fix in the ecosystem. You just put stuff in place, for example, slugs and snails. Instead of like killing them with salt and being pretty cruel, all you've got to do is attract frogs into your garden, or hedgehogs, or just having a little pond. Get the frogs in, they eat the slugs. I mean, that's the way of life. I know no vegans don't like any animals to get hurt, but that's the most natural process possible. Instead of chucking salt on them, which is a very cruel way of dying, which some people do, which is I don't agree with. I feel like we just got to be a part of the ecosystem and fix it naturally, just by putting things in place that just would happen in a natural way.
Okay, cool. Right, I got one more question. So, if you can't get your hands on any garden centre compost or organic matter at the moment, what can you do to improve the quality of your soil? That's from Anna.
So, if you're at home, say you've got a garden, I'd definitely start with making your own compost. It's really, really easy. I'll take you to my compost pile, actually. Just give you a little...
I guess a lot of people aren't having their garden waste and their sort of food waste and stuff picked up at the moment. So it's an ideal time to be starting that off, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, something really, really simple is with like pallets. I mean, like, if you've got the space, it's great. If you're in a flat or got a balcony, I say buy a wormery. I've got like, you've just literally chuck your food waste in there and they'll turn it into compost, and they call it worm rum, which is worm urine pretty much. And that stuff is like steroids for plants. You just put that in your watering can and it boosts your plants majorly. So I've just got like pallets here with some chicken wire around it, and I literally just chuck on all my plant waste. So grass clippings, cardboard, wood chip, food waste, and then I'm just making a great compost. I'm going to chuck my hand in it and show you. Get a little bit hands-on in this live, Ben.
Yeah, man, do it.
So yeah, it's just so there's wood chip there, cardboard, there's some grass clippings there, and you can already see.
I think we lost you a little bit there, mate. But yeah, I can see all the different things that you're putting in there. It's like amazing.
But there's loads of life in there, and it's just showing you can make really good compost pretty easy.
Okay, wicked. Okay, well, just a couple of things to round up. I'm sure there's quite a lot of people that are going to want to see more of your tips and hints and all that sort of stuff. Where can people find you?
So I'm at Jack's Patch mainly on Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube as well. But Instagram have got like most of my tips. Actually, even TikTok now as well. Another mad platform we've got at our disposal now. But I think it's I've kind of gone down like the Joe Wicks style, just trying to throw it together really quickly, and people have responded amazing to it because it just shows how simple it can be. Rather than a long-winded video, it's like 1-2 minute clips of like bang, 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 how to do that. And people are loving it, and I'm getting a lot of good response as well.
That's brilliant. You'll come down to our show in October, right?
Yeah, so that's
come down to the autumn show. Yeah, that would be wicked.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Right, so I'm trying to get a question train going. So I'm going to ask every guest to ask a question to my next guest. So we've got Romy London on next week, and I did warn you beforehand. What would you like me to ask Romy from you when I see her next week?
It's more I looked at her page, which is awesome, the most like aesthetic vegan page I've seen. Just before she went vegan, I want to know. I don't know if she's always been vegan. Actually, I didn't check, but just what does she use now that she wasn't using pre-vegan days? Like for example, at Christmas, I use like loads of chestnuts to make stuff really nutty and to thicken it up. And I was like, wow, I've never used that before, and it was like it's really delicious, like in food. And yeah, so I just want to ask her what veggie does she like really hype about now that she wasn't using pre-vegan days that people should use more.
Okay, that's perfect. Cheers, then, Jack. Well, thanks so much for coming on, buddy.
No
I'm
worries.
sure
Anytime.
I'm sure we'll speak soon. Everyone, go check out Jack's stuff, and I'll see you in London in the autumn, buddy.
All right, wicked man. Stay safe.
Cheers, Jack. Bye.
See ya.
Okay, so that's all from us this week for Just V Show Chat. I'd like to thank Jack, obviously, for being our debut guest and kicking things off with real and practical advice. I hope you guys can incorporate some of that into your daily lives. Next week, we have prolific blogger and star of Channel 4's Crazy Delicious, Romy London, in the virtual studio. In the meantime, if you have any news, stories, tips, or questions for our future guests, you can email them to us using the address info@f2fevents.co.uk or get in contact on any of our social media channels. Again, we can't wait to see you in the autumn. Get your tickets for London in the video description. And until next week, stay home and stay safe. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.